We begin in Parliament. As I told you, the debate on the gender bill concludes today, and MPs could possibly vote after 2 days of debate. On Wednesday, women MPs accused their male counterparts of degrading women aspirants in political competition, the women leaders claiming they are disenfranchised because of stereotypes.
It is not only during wartime that dehumanization techniques are used. It is used in times when debates are heightened like now and in elections. And the reason for it is to increase violence and stereotypes. Yesterday's comment and statement referring to nominated women MPs as slay queens was unfortunate.
We must stop this stigma that for a woman to be nominated, you must lie around, whatever that means. And may I also say we are tired of being categorized into rural, urban women, classic women, slay queens, I don't know what, and nobody does the same classification to the men.
When Wanga, who has come from Kisumu and is married in Homa Bay, runs there, she's told, why don't you go back to Kisumu and run there? So you are doomed if you do, doomed if you don't. If you're married, you're bad. If you're single, you're bad. If you're divorced, it is worse. If you are a widow, it is even, Mr. Speaker, these are the challenges that women are facing.
If we no longer agree to this, then let us go back to a referendum and say that we are not willing to actually enact this part of the Constitution or realize this particular provision of the Constitution.
And as I said, the debate concludes today, and possibly they could vote today. Stephen Leto joins us live from the National Assembly. How does the order paper look, Leto? And from your interaction with the MPs there, what is the mood? How does it look like?
Well, thank you, Hussein. Indeed, like you've put it, right, it's the D-Day for the two-thirds gender bill that had been fronted by Majority Leader in the National Assembly, Aden Duale. The bill seeking to introduce special seats for either gender that has been disenfranchised in both the National Assembly and the Senate, the bicameral parliament. But again, the bill was supposed to take 3 consecutive days of debate. Yesterday was the second day of debate. Remember, it's a debate that kicked off on Tuesday and Wednesday, marking the second day. And today, it is expected that the final day of debate of that particular gender bill is expected to take off. But again, we have been able to look at the order paper for this morning. We've seen that they have not scheduled the two-thirds gender bill. But again, remember, there could be a supplementary budget towards, beg your pardon, a supplementary order paper for the National Assembly way to the afternoon. And again, they might be expecting to put that, because when the debate had kicked off for the two-thirds gender rule, it means it has to be concluded and a question put so that the House can either adopt or reject that particular bill by Aden Duale. Remember, the bill also is expected to, actualize the article of the Constitution. It is a requirement that Parliament has to pass a legislation that, upholds that particular article of the Constitution. And with me is one member of Parliament, the member of Parliament from Butere, member of Parliament Tindi Mwale. Thank you for joining and speaking to Citizen TV. We haven't seen the two-thirds gender bill being put on the order paper. Are we expecting the order paper to change today?
We're expecting the order paper to change. Maybe they bring the supplementary order paper where we have the bill being brought for the question to be put and for the voting. But the main trick part will be if we'll get the required number of members in the House for the question to be put. Yeah, but we're expecting to pass the bill to give our ladies or the gender, either the women or men, if they are less, for the numbers to be added in Parliament.
Some members have termed the threshold of two-thirds as draconian to the House. It has been very difficult to raise two-thirds, even on the presidential memorandum on the VAT, 16% VAT. Is this something that, as parliamentarians, you are concerned about?
Yeah, it's true. It's very tricky to get 233 members, but we are hoping that members will come and we'll be able to show the public that we are committed to serving and to passing legislation that benefits the common Kenyan. But that one, besides the point, we are really looking for a situation where we have a parliament where the people feel like they are fully represented. And as we are now, women feel as if they are not fully represented. And that's why we are saying that Article 81, sub-Article B, it states clearly that in a case where either gender is not well represented, then the parliament will come in and nominate more members of that gender into parliament. So it's not all about women. It's also even about men. If you find a place where the women are more than men, then again the parliament will be forced to nominate men to come into the August House.
And what is the way out should Parliament fail to raise the 2/3?
The way out is that the bill will fail to pass, and then we go back to the standing orders. Standing orders dictates that you give it 6 months, then the bill can be brought back again to the floor of the House. That's the way forward. Or those who are outside can go to court, and then they try and get an interpretation from the Supreme Court. Yeah.
Thank you. Hussein, you've heard it from Tindi Mwale, the Member of Parliament from Butere, telling us they of course expect the order paper to change because the debate of that particular bill has to be concluded. And remember, the vote has to be done. But last week on Monday, I spoke to Majority Leader Eden Duale, who said that, you know, they are very keen on having this particular bill sail through, and they were very concerned about when is the correct time to put the question. Remember, there have to be 233 members of Parliament inside the chambers for the question to be put, and even a support of 233 members for the bill to pass, to sail through. And so Duale was telling us that he has to ensure, he has to be very sure that there are 233 members present for him to put the question. But again, remember, the members of Parliament will be breaking for recess, the December recess on 6th of December, and they'll be going all the way to about mid-February. And from now to 6th, when they will be breaking, they will be having only 6 sittings. It means they only have 6 sittings to ensure that they put a question to this particular bill starting today. And so saying it's a critical balance for the National Assembly, as this bill again puts the House yet on the brink of history, as the country, of course, watches to see how they are going to treat this particular bill. It is not the first time. The 10th Parliament tried. The 11th Parliament did the same under the leadership of Eden Duale, and these the 12th Parliament again looking on the same issues to raise 2/3 to ensure that, you know, they make sure that bill sails through. A lot of objections have been raised by male members of Parliament saying it will be costly. If that particular bill will be activated and it will be in operation right now, it means the National Assembly will require at least about 39 more women, as well as the Senate requiring only 2. It means 41 extra members of Parliament. That budgetary implications means with a member of Parliament earning about approximate or a maximum of 980,000 inclusive of allowances, it means that the taxpayers could be coughing a whooping 482 million shillings every year. And that is what some of members are raising concern about, the issue of wage bill. But the women members of Parliament claim it is just 1% of Parliament operations. And some proposals have been coming the way of Parliament, saying that can Parliament, through the Parliamentary Service Commission, absorb that particular cost of extra women in Parliament so that they do not go back to the taxpayers asking for more money to cater for the special seats. Hussein.
All right, Stephen Leto, stick with us. In studio, we have lawyer Danstan Omari. Thank you for making time for us this morning, and to see you again after a long time. You're making all the money in court right now. You don't care much about us.
I really care about my followers. I really care about citizen followers. I really care about the nation. It was that we were quite busy. Okay. But now that I'm back, we are back for the proper analysis.
Share it with us after a while. But I mean, you hear what Leto is talking about. First, it looks like there's some procrastination to wait for enough members to come in to Parliament, to be in Parliament before that it's put on a vote. What does that tell you? I mean, and looking at the debate so far, women, of course, are not happy, MPs, and some men, with the depiction of the women's role or the role of nominated women, that term that was used in quotes, slay queen, or slay queens. What do you think is going to happen? Do you think this time, because we've seen a number of MPs supporting publicly, but just like before when we saw this fail, supporting publicly does not translate to actually voting for it, does it?
Hussein, I don't know, my fellow Kenyans, what they're expecting. The answer is already, they know the answer. It is only that this is a nation that never accepts the truth. We don't expect anything from Parliament. That has been the position. So long as it's a public interest issue, so long as it's a national issue, expect Parliament to do the opposite of that. By appearance, by perception, they will posture that they will support the bill. Remember the drama we saw during the petroleum bill, what was happening about the petrol. People were dancing and whistling, and they knew very well already they had been compromised. We've not seen serious political agitation towards this bill. We've not seen serious demonstrations to build the national tempo towards passing this bill. What we are seeing is cosmetic. What we are seeing is aimed at the public gallery. I do not expect real 233 members of Parliament
to be there.
To be there, that is a lie.
So you in other words, you're telling me you don't expect this bill or this amendment to sail through?
It is obvious.
It won't.
It is the worst disaster to me as a lawyer, to me as a father, to me as a citizen, who knows very well that it's not about them voting. It is complying with the constitutional provisions.
Yes.
Article 3 makes the Constitution a supreme law. They have no option. Really, they have no option. We are not asking about their feelings. We are not asking about members of Parliament, their attitudes. How they relate with their wives is immaterial. We are asking a full implementation with the timeline set by the Constitution.
Yet this has failed time and time and again. I mean, you're predicting, you're saying clearly this will not pass this time either. So, I mean, what could be could there be a problem with strategy in how this is being done? How this is being brought in Parliament?
Who's saying for the...
And must it be done in Parliament anyway?
One thing, that's what I'm saying. We have a National Gender Commission and Equality Commission. I have not seen them. This is not really a parliamentary issue. This should have been dealt with administratively. Because the people in Parliament are male chauvinists. The people in Parliament are having issues with their wives. The question before in Parliament should be, do those people have daughters? Do those people have aunties? Do those people have relatives of the opposite sex? They are very close and very passionate when it comes to daughters. All of them take their daughters to school. All of them take their aunties. All of them have their mothers. But when it comes to voting, you have seen the term slave queen
being used.
And the argument everybody is asking, who makes them slave queen? It is the men. A slave queen is not a slave queen without the actualizer. Who is the man?
And no doubt this is a constitutional provision. They swore to uphold the Constitution. But some of the arguments, when some like Honorable Sankok and Didmas Baraza say that they're concerned that the middle-class women will end up getting most of these positions, that it ultimately will not be very representative even amongst the women themselves. Some are actually saying there's no formula. The parties could abuse this, just like they've abused other nomination slots before. Don't they have a point?
There is the law. Parliament is the only organ in government that can legislate on any mischief and correct it. There is the Political Parties Act that provides for the procedure to nominate the members from the parties. If they are saying that the slave queens will be given positions by virtue of the political parties, look at who owns those political parties. We have always said there exists no political party in this nation. What we have are commercial entities called Jubilee, called TNA, called ODM, called Wiper. Do we have the structure called political parties based on ideologies? So the question of cost, I watched Jeff JK live. A young member of Parliament, a beneficiary of his father's patronage, is saying that the cost implication of bringing in ladies. He is not understanding that justice is not about the cost. Justice is about equal representation, a fair representation. Today we have another bill that is geared towards increasing
that's actually what I wanted to ask. I mean, when people talk about costs, and Leto is still with us. in Parliament, if you can hear me, Stephen Leto. That other bill, we're now having MPs seeking extra parks for them, talking about rent-free houses, government vehicles, expanded medical cover and travel allowances. That will be introduced for the second reading today. I don't know if we have Stephen Leto.
Yes, Hussein, indeed, that particular bill on parks in terms of ensuring their vehicles and MPs getting, fresh allowances, you may put it, in terms of house and mortgage. What we know so far is there has been an adjustment of house sittings, and Parliament is sitting, of the National Assembly rather, is sitting this morning. I remember Thursday, the House always sits in the afternoon, but this morning again, they have scheduled to have a sitting. Actually, the Speaker is now heading right inside the chambers to, oversee that particular session. The first order that they are going to prosecute is a report from the Powers and Privileges Committee. Remember, there was a fist fight between Member of Parliament for Embakasi East, Babu Owino, and Stare Member of Parliament, Charles or Jaguar, if you may like. There is a report that was issued on Tuesday that they have to apologize following their fist fight, and it is that report that will be tabled this morning for adoption or rejection from the floor by Members of Parliament. And immediately after that, that is about 11 to midday, Members of Parliament will be, debating on that issue of allowances, parks, and the house and mortgage. So that particular bill is coming, and that is the very reason why the House is having a sitting this morning. And going all the way to the afternoon, then you'll expect the issues of two-thirds gender, as well as issues to do with the report on the bribery claims on the sugar report. And so we expect a lot of issues today in the National Assembly's interest. So, Hussein, we are expected to see whether MPs will reject that particular bill that proposes more money for them or not, or rather say they will, shelve it following the public outcry over the attempts to have themselves add more money to their pockets, including when the president was in Mombasa telling them that, it was not fair for them to proceed and, do that in terms of increasing their mortgage and allowances. But again, they have been defending themselves that they are the only civil servants that do not receive such allowances, and so it will be unfair to cater for a section of the public servants and leave the rest outside. That is the the parliamentarians. But we are expecting that particular debate to kick off any moment from now. It will be a heated one. We have seen members of Parliament going into the chambers, but again, we are hearing the bell ringing, meaning there is no quorum for this particular session to kick off, and whipping is currently ongoing, Hussein, for members of Parliament to get to the House, for there to be 50 or more members for this morning session to begin, where we'll have that particular debate on the mortgages and allowances for MPs. Hussein.
Just interesting times, Leto. I'm going to leave you to attend to your job right now. I will be joining up with Leto later on. So it's going to be very interesting, especially if they are to vote today, if we'll have quorum on the issue about parks. But that is just about debate.
Yes.
And then we'll lack on the other one. Then that shows a bit of hypocrisy, if I could use that word, because in other words here, if they're going to support this issue about parks, then cost cannot be a reason why they should reject the amendment to introduce the gender, to effect gender parity.
Who said this parks debate is very strategic. It's a form of blackmailing the executive. I'm sensing that there seems to have been a political discussion that if you want us to pass the bill for gender, pass ours for money. This has been the predicament President Uhuru Kenyatta has faced for all his term. Remember, there's a time they also refused to pass the budget bill, to approve the budget, with a view that their allowances must be increased. So if today we see the backstabbing, that these two bills will go simultaneously, so that to entice the members of Parliament to come to Parliament. Remember, the Bucks issue does not need two-thirds majority. So there is a possibility that they can posture to the executive that us, we have no problem.
Right.
Let's pass this one, tomorrow that. But the question that we still need to discuss further, what is the role of the citizen? We are blaming members of Parliament.
Yes.
What is our role?
Because as it is,
yes,
anybody can go to court and still challenge the legality of Parliament.
Yes,
it's not like right now we are okay. So is it because of lack of serious implications that people are not really concerned, especially Parliament, that they're not really worried because nobody seems to be taking action in as far as actually seeking legal redress is concerned?
A constitutional petition was filed before Justice Mativu, and timelines were set, and conditions were that failure to comply with those constitutional timelines, somebody should petition the Chief Justice to provide an advisory to the President to dissolve Parliament. But the question is it politically practical that Parliament can be dissolved? It is politically impossible. And members of Parliament know that.
So that's why nobody cares.
And that's what I'm saying. That's why they don't care. But I strongly believe with the handshake that is there, if President Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga and the rest wanted to save this nation from failure to comply with our constitutional provision, Parliament should be dissolved. But practically, that is not possible. Hussein, another issue that is of great concern is, remember, every election year, over 88% of members of Parliament are thrown out. That is the reality. The few who return never learn. What can we do? Do we agree to invoke the recall clause? The Constitution provides for a recall clause. We can recall these members of Parliament and take them out and elect people who are pro. Then another issue that is there, I talked of the National Gender and Equality Commission.
Right.
This debate is not about women. And this is where we've lost. And I want the media to advance the debate the way it is. It is about gender. Gender is not women. The
sad thing is because, right, I mean, that is happening. I mean, you're right.
Yes.
You're right. That is happening because it's women that are few now.
Yes.
That is why it is being interpreted to mean women.
Women.
Yeah.
And today, if you look at the population of gender, Hussein, if you look at the professional cadre of people below 30, the majority are women. More men are busy taking beer and failing to go to school. More girls and more women are going to school. So this self-preservation today, where the gender called male think they'll be predominant forever, is a lie. In the next 5 years, we are going to have more women in key positions, with key professional certificates, and in key decision-making. What is going to happen? So a society that does not read the population and demographic changes is a society that is hiding itself. They're hiding their heads in the sand. My position is that let us discuss this matter, not only in Parliament. Let us escalate this issue that gender is inclusive of men. I have seen quite a number of ladies, honorable members of Parliament, failing the test. The war is not about with the men. This discussion should be, we cannot succeed if we isolate men and fight that it is a battle for women. Let this be a national discussion that it is the implementation of the Constitution. It's not about the gender. Okay. It is fully complying with the constitutional provisions.
So clearly what you're telling me, let's have a national conversation. You have already made up your mind. From your analysis and what's going to happen, this is not going to pass. That's what you...
According to me. Yeah. And if it passes, God, it will be a miracle.
Okay. Danstan Omari, thank you so much. Thanks for your analysis as always. We can release you now to go back to the courts. Thank you again.